Alright, back to where we were when we were so rudely interrupted. The 6 remains inside the square root because it's to the first power. You can't divide it by 2, but I can take that x squared, move it outside, get x squared divided by 2. So now I have 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I get 3 to the first power, x to the square root of 6. And that's my final answer for this one. Now, you gotta know your powers. You have to know, and I would recommend coming up with a chart where it's x and x squared. So you get really familiar, at least through from 1 all the way down to 15. 1 squared is 1, 15 squared is 225. That's what you gotta get. You gotta get those two together. You gotta know what those are. Now, some other tricks. Some tricks. That doesn't look like a C. Just go with it. Now, for variables. If you have the square root of x to the odd power, and the power is greater than 1, here's what we want to do. And it's easier to see with an example. Square root of x to the 7th power. The first step we want to do is rewrite x to the 7th power as x to the 6th power times x to the 1st power. Because this is going to give us an even power, and then we just have a regular x afterwards. So what we get is the square root of x to the 6th times x. Now, once we have an even power, we can divide it by 2. So we get, this is the square root, this would be x to the 6th divided by 2 power times the square root of x. So this is x cubed over the times the square root of x. Again, let's try another one. The square root of x to the 9th. Now, the square root of x to the 9th, we have to figure out, alright, how are we going to get this into a situation where we can actually use this whole divide by 2 method? Here's what we get. We get x to the 8 times x, which is x to the 8 divided by 2 times the square root of x. We still have x to the 9th power in that case. So this is going to be x to the 4th times the square root of x. So we'll have that situation. And we can put it all together and say, alright, let's say we have the square root of 216 times x to the 7th power. Alright, 216. With 216, I know it's a power of 2. Because I know 2 to the 1st is 2, 2 squared is 4, 2 cubed is 8, 2 to the 4th is 16, 2 to the 5th is 32, 2 to the 6th is 64, 2 to the 7th is 128, 2 to the 8th power is 216. I would get to know this guy. I would get to know 2 to the 8th power. So I can rewrite square root of 216 as 2 to the 8th power times, now I have x to the 7th, I can change this to x to the 6th times x, because remember, we want even powers, we could divide them by 2. So I'm going to get 2 to the 8 divided by 2 power times x to the 6th divided by 2 power times the square root of x. So this is 2 to the 4th power times x cubed times the square root of x. 2 to the 4th power, 2 times 2 is 4, 8, 16. So this is 16x cubed times the square root of x. So apparently, 16 squared is equal to 216. and 16. So maybe we should go up one more to 16 squared. But this process, as long as you keep working the process, you're going to be able to simplify any radical that you come across. Enjoy.